Hi there, how you doing?
I'm good. I think Lee's trying to get in, but he's having trouble with the link for some reason.
Yeah, I used the link in the in the meeting notice as well. So hopefully
Yeah.
it'll get here in a minute. I actually my computer just did a forced update like 5 minutes ago, and I'm waiting for it to start. So I'm on my phone for the moment, and then I'm going to move to my computer as soon as it decides that it wants to work.
Yeah, I totally understand. Our home computer's kind of off limits. It's kind of on the blink right now, so I got to use my work one.
Mm.
That's why
No,
I've
it
got the
works. It's working too well. It's updating itself.
ah
The machine took over.
AI is taking over.
Um, but yeah, let's let's see. Jake, are you there? Hi there. How you doing?
Hey, good. I'm here, and I dropped the correct link into the agenda,
Mhm.
so we should have it now.
Ah, speaking
There
of
he
the devil.
is.
Oh, it looks like I can get on my computer now. So if you guys don't mind me waiting 1 minute for me to switch to my computer. A lot easier to get our resolution at the same time.
Sorry, what did you say, Daniel? Are we waiting for something or something?
I am switching to my computer, which just did a forced update right
Oh,
before
okay.
I was about to log in. So if I we can start if you want, but I'm gonna switch devices in just a moment.
Okay. Yeah, there's something wrong with the Zoom link again. Peter just fixed it. No one is on but us. So
Hmm.
it seems to be a common problem. Let me
The link that I've been sending out to the Admo listserv is correct.
Does
I'm
it
not.
match the one on the website?
It should. I ran all the links past Sean. So Sean should be using the ones that I've been sending out to the listserv, and we updated them all. The one in the agenda was wrong though. I think that was the old link from back when the Zoom account failed for a month. And Sean created like a new link, and somehow that one I think kept getting copied onto new PZT agendas.
I just it's a little confusing because I've been taking the link that's directly on our website and putting it on the agenda. So
Uh,
I'm a little
yeah,
confused as to why this keeps happening.
I don't update the website with the links. I don't handle that. I don't handle the website. The links that I gave to Jake for the listserv are correct. So they are correct on the listserv. So
And it could be that Peter has the old link and is using that for the website. So that must be what's going on.
Okay. Well, our okay, people are coming in. We've got Kristen and Diane with us. So with that, let's get started. So far the only attendees are Diane and Kristen, so I think we can just skip introductions. They've met us before. So tonight's agenda is pretty short. We just have a presentation from Diane regarding the 2024 Rock and Roll half marathon, and then a discussion regarding the resolution that Commissioner Stevens has put together for us. So let's jump right in. Sean, can you make Diane a panelist?
Do we do intros at all, or we're good?
They know us. We don't need, I don't think we
Okay,
need to do
great.
intros. Hi, Diane.
Good evening. Hey, everybody. All right. I can jump right in.
Yeah,
And
go for it.
very familiar with this event every year. But it's the new title sponsor this year at St. Jude's Children's Hospital is the title sponsor for the Rock and Roll Half Marathon and 5K. You guys will only see the half marathon runners. Event date is Saturday, March 16th. It starts down at 14th and Constitution. The half marathon is going to have about 12,000 runners. The 5K also starts down there, but it kind of stays around the central area there. The start time for the half is 8 a.m. 5K starts a little earlier at 7:45, and they both finish at 4th and Pennsylvania. Impacting this ANC, you guys are familiar with it. Same course. They come out of Rock Creek Park on Calvert Street. They cut eastbound on Calvert. They pick up Adams Mill Road. They go south on Adams Mill till it gets to Columbia Road. They go eastbound in Columbia until they pick up Harvard, cross 16th Street, and they go on all the way down eastbound at Harvard till they reach the reservoir. So the total impact, looked at last year's numbers. We cleared, the last runner cleared Adams Mill and Columbia Road at 10:57. So the first closures are probably about 7:30 because MPD totally controls the streets, as you know. So they close them when they deem ready, and they open them when they deem ready. But the last runner did get out of there a little before 11 a.m. And then we always factor in some time for street cleaning, make sure all the trash is gone, everything's the way it was before the runners came through there. So total closure time impacting this ANC is 7:30 a.m. to about 11:30 with the other the cleaning at the end of the event. As in past years, there's no parking on the any core street has no parking. Those signs will go up on Wednesday, the 13th. You'll see those going up. No parking will start at midnight on that morning of the 16th and go on till MPD opens the streets, which should be by 12 noon, would be when you can get back there and park. Core signs go up as they have in the past. Those 22 by 22 chloroplasts, those will go back up on that Saturday before the event, which is March 9th, and we take them down right away. Street closures are all uploaded onto Waze. So if you guys are trying to navigate the morning of the event, they're all the closures are in the app. I'm also there's a community line that people can call, which I've historically managed. Hey, I've got to go to National Airport. I'm north of Harvard. How do I get there? So we're able to kind of navigate people, get them where they need to be on that morning of the event. There is no band stage in this ANC. The closest one to you guys is the one on Calvert that they put over there on the bridge. So that's the only music you'll see. We moved that band that was at the SunTrust Plaza that used to have a band there, but we moved that out of there based on the feedback from just the ANC, your constituents with the noise level. So that's out of there as it has been in the past years. And that's pretty much it. You guys are, again, you're very familiar with this event. I did want to talk about the course suggestion that I got from you guys. The change, I can't remember who sent it to me. Was it any of you guys? One of your commissioners sent me a suggested course reroute that goes, instead of the runners coming out of Rock Creek onto Calvert, continuing on the Parkway and coming right on Harvard Street. Like going under Calvert, and then you're turning right for the exit. If you're familiar with that, it takes you on Harvard Street and then brings you back around.
It was Commissioner Wood that suggested that.
Thank you. I couldn't remember. Thank you. So, good. I mean, the course director loved it. They drove it. They thought it was great. The MPD liked it. They thought it was great. Who didn't like it was NPS, Park Service, who ultimately has the say on the use of Rock Creek Park. Their ruling was no races over 10,000 runners would go north of Calvert Street. So I think we're still going to pursue that for the 2025, working with NPS. Now, I've been on Harvard. I've never been on the exit to Harvard, but I've been down Harvard into the zoo area there. I don't know how much of an impact. I know Harvard's extremely dense with a lot of, the whole area is with homes and cars. So I don't know, guys, what you think. If you want us to pursue that in 2025 with the Park Service, it's something we could do. Because MPD, they liked it. It opens up that bridge, opens up Calvert, so there's no stoppage along Connecticut. So it was a very good suggestion. We just hope we can get NPS to agree to it for the 2025 event. So I don't know if you guys have any questions about that.
Commissioner Felskini?
Thanks. I thought it was a great suggestion. I really appreciate you trying to run the traps on it, Diane. I
Mhm.
think it solves up a lot of the kind of
Yeah.
issues that we've heard in Adams Morgan about this,
Mhm.
and is just kind of resolves a lot of them.
Yeah.
I do understand why the Park Service might have some concerns with it, just given like off ramps and stuff from Rock Creek and challenges that that might create for folks, but
Right.
it's for a very limited time, and
Is.
it makes more sense to me to make sure that we minimize the impact on the neighborhood as opposed to, in that like very limited area in the park. So if you need help from us, like a resolution or something along those lines,
Okay.
saying that we would prefer to have the route moved to that, so that we can make that for um, move for 2025, I
Mhm.
would certainly be willing to
Yeah.
try to work on that.
Yep.
Mm.
And then we'll have to look at our numbers this year for the half marathon because they said nothing over 10,000 and we kind of trend at about 12. Then you got to factor in about 20% aren't going to show. So we might be just around that number. But we do, when we have to do our report and file our permits, we do say the event's about 12,000. So that's probably that, blurb there. But we have to look at our actual attendance this year to see how many runners are actually hit the course. And we may be able to fit under that 10,000. But a resolution, you guys stating the preference would be very helpful.
That's great. Thank you. I think we'd be happy to work on something like that
Great.
for next year. My
Mhm.
only other question was just making sure that this year, as they've done in past years, that we're not towing to tow yards. We're just towing locally into the neighborhood, into other spots, so that folks don't get hit with huge fines and fees over
Correct.
that.
Correct. And if you do have any constituent contacts, any of you guys, your commissioners, please reach out to me. You have my email, my phone number. That's happened in Capitol Hill one year where someone was actually towed incorrectly, and had some fines. And because they contacted us, we were able to get that resolved. So
It's great.
please let me know if that does happen.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Are there any other comments or questions for Diane? All right.
Can you, oh, sorry, can you remind me, the route, there's no, cross over the route, at all, just have to drive all the way around it. Are there specific designated, crossing points that'll be on the map that's on Waze in terms of like, preferred routes for folks to get around?
And Waze will have preferred routes because they will have the street closures in there, but MPD controls whether, if it's safe to cross, they're instructed, they have been given the green light to allow cars across when there is, an opening that's safe enough. But you guys are pretty early in the race. I think you're what, about 6 miles, 5, 6 maybe, and it's pretty dense where the runners are. And you guys, I don't, some of you might have actually seen it live where it's a lot of runners and it's not really an opportunity for anyone to get across there safely. Ambulances, absolutely. They will stop the race for an ambulance or any kind of emergency vehicles. It will be stopped, and it has in the past.
And pedestrians?
They have to jolt across without running into a runner. That's the goal. It's like, what's that turtle game when you get to cross there without hitting something? Yeah, it's pretty much you cross at your own risk. That's basically what it is. You don't want to, it is a timed event, so people are trying to make good time, but people have darted across. They're not going to be held back, I should say.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Diane, for coming and presenting to us. I'm in agreement with Commissioner Falskini. Maybe next year, try again to try to move it up to Harvard Street.
Mhm.
This is not the first time NPS has been a pain when trying to solve neighborhood problems. So
Yeah.
I'm not terribly surprised that
Yeah.
they've come up with this
We're-
answer when everyone else is like, oh, how wonderful.
All right. Well, it's a great suggestion, so we definitely want to embrace it if we can get it done.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Diane.
Okay. And then you guys, will this be on the full commission? Do I need to come back for the full commission, or will you guys kind of just report out on the event?
I think we just report out. That's what we've done in the past, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate
All
your
right.
time
Thank
tonight.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So last item on our agenda is the discussion regarding the resolution calling for reform of DC's vacant and blighted property laws and regulations. Commissioner Stevens, thank you so much for all of your work on this. I was hoping you might say a few things about the resolution and how it might differ from 1A. I know this was a piggyback effort off of 1A. But I looked over it and thought it looked really good. So I think it's in a really good position, but I was hoping you could just say a few words about it.
Oh, Margaret, you're muted.
Sorry, I was actually just looking at one thing really quick before I spoke. So anyway, well yeah, like Commissioner Dixon said, this was basically an adaptation of a resolution by 1A that is basically seeking to make the DOB and OTR efforts more streamlined and efficient and have the two agencies working more closely together and coordinating and so forth. And one thing that it does that I really like is it adjusts these tax penalties with inflation, and it also increases the amount for each year that the building is staying neglected and vacant and blighted and so forth. So I basically kept all of their resolution intact. It also starts to go into a little bit of reward for people who are owners, individual owners, and developers who are taking care of the property, even improving the property, making it useful to the community, things like that. So I went a little farther here, and basically I am asking to eliminate the year-long window that a current owner can have to get their property back once there is a tax sale, except in the case of residential properties where I'm thinking where there's a true financial hardship. I wouldn't want to eliminate that year for them, but there are owners, as we all know, that just sit on their properties indefinitely, and it is a major detractor to our neighborhoods. So there's that. And then also I am asking that OTR, and maybe the city council too, I'm not sure who would have jurisdiction over this, but OTR enact a policy that prevents any delinquent, vacant, and blighted property owner from writing off any fines, fees, interest, or tax penalties in any way from DC or federal tax responsibilities, because there have been complaints. And I'm not a tax expert. I don't know the exact possibility of this, but there has been some speculation and complaints that some of these delinquent owners, whether it's residential, commercial, to sit on their properties, and even though they have a larger tax burden and penalty and fines and fees, then they can turn around and somehow write that off of their taxes. And basically, I just would like for OTR to look into that and just somehow policy-wise make it impossible for owners to do that, basically. Whether they're doing it now or not, just make it so they cannot do that. And then, let's see. Okay, and then one thing that I'm also asking for is that OTR also look into incentives where, again, responsible property owners actually get some type of a tax rate similar to the Detroit land value tax plan the city of Detroit is considering. I looked into it, and again, I'm not a tax expert. I didn't quite understand everything there, but in concept is basically that the bad property owners would be taxed so in such a high rate that there could be a reward to the property owners who were really doing something very, very nice and responsible with their property. So I thought that was a good one. And I believe that's actually about it. And I guess you guys read over the original 1A and then this revised version. So I guess if you guys have any questions or anything about it, I'm here to answer those questions.
Are there any questions from the commission I read through it and don't really have any. I thought it was really well written. Commissioner Felskey.
It looks great. Well done, Commissioner Stevens. I only had two minor, what I hope are friendly amendments.
Mm-hmm.
In the first, be it, oh, sorry, the second, be it further resolved that
Mm-hmm.
C1C calls for Class C and Class 4 tax rates to be adjusted in accordance with inflation, and then to gradually increase in accordance with the length of the property's vacancy status.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a little bit clearer if it were to say, and also then gradually increase in accordance with the, so we're making clear that it's both inflation
Mm-hmm.
adjusted, and also we're calling on them to increase the amount of the tax fee um, based on the amount of time that it's been sitting vacant.
Mm-hmm.
So looking for both an inflation adjustment and also a time inflation adjustment. And that's
Mm-hmm.
great. I thought that was really well done. And then the last is like really nitpicky.
Mm-hmm.
But in the second to last, be it further resolved that um, we just edit Commissioner Margaret Stevens to actually have an N. Um,
Oh goodness, I misspelled my own name. I was so nervous writing this thing. I do apologize, guys. And also just one quick thing too. Um, I for some reason I had a hard time bringing up the resolution on this computer, so I'm now looking down at my iPad. So if it looks like I'm disappearing from the screen, I apologize. I'm just looking at it here. So okay, yes, I will spell my name correctly. So
those are
sorry.
those were the only two. The one felt like a friendly amendment, and the other is just like truly just a little technical thing. So
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, on that last, be it further resolved, you can say Margaret Stevens, comma, who serves. Um, I don't know if that sounds more accurate to me, but no, I similarly just want to thank you for all the work you put into this. It looks great. I didn't have any edits, but I appreciate Commissioner Falskini catching those. I was actually going to ask more about the Detroit what is it, land value tax proposal, but you answered that already. And I appreciate, yeah, any incentives we can create for owners to put their properties to good use. I liked the write-off of taxes for sale,
Mm-hmm.
and the preference for adjoining properties. And I would be really excited if the council took up this legislation.
Yeah, great. And I can make those tiny changes in the Google Drive. Lee, can I do it after we vote, or do I have to do it before the voter? I don't know how it works.
I think you can just do it after, do whatever, whenever
Okay.
they're so
Yeah.
minimal.
It'll take 2 seconds afterwards.
Yeah. Great. So what are we?
I just want to acknowledge the comment in the chat from Kristen, and agree that residential and commercial properties are different, and that while both are a blight on the neighborhood, I think that commercial properties tend to have a real ripple effect across the commercial area.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is that we would treat them the same. It's more just in the strictness of penalties that I don't want the delinquent residential owners or developers, you know what I'm saying, to get off the hook. So I'm saying that commercial residential would still have the same penalties in terms of the high penalty it has now, and then increase for inflation, and then increase for the time it sits demolition by neglect, basically. So but then, like I said, I did put the caveat in there with the residential that if it's a true financial hardship, for instance, you're someone whose relative has died, you inherit the property, and there you have it, you know what I'm saying? And so or just whatever true financial hardship, and not just someone who's just a bad property owner. So for the residential portion.
Would you be open to a friendly amendment along the lines of what I just stated, that the council should consider the implications of creating a different level of penalty for commercial properties.
We could, but like I say, I don't know. Like I say, I'm just kind of, I guess I just feel like that there should be as strict for residential. What does everyone else think about that?
I'm of the mindset that they both need to be strict. You know, we're going through like a shortage of housing in DC, so I think penalties need to be steep for residential. And then I also think, you know, no one wants to see a vacant commercial property just sit vacant in, you know, a neighborhood. Like that's just not something people want to see. I can think of some of the ones right down the street from here. So I think the penalty should be high for both.
Yeah, and so Kristen, you just were talking about the permits. So what happens is once an owner or contractor for the owner pulls a permit, they are no longer being penalized. That stops. So then the classification of the building changes, the tax classification, the whole thing. Okay, so you said not always it should though. That's the thing. So and maybe that's where this resolution is also asking the Department of Building to work more closely with OTR so they can sync, because what happens is, you know, they're not always talking to each other. So right, no, but well, that's why we're writing a resolution that we want them to sync that up, because it goes kind of both ways. Like if, like you're saying, if they do pull a permit to improve the property, of course, you know, no, they shouldn't be penalized because they need to put their money into the improvement. They need to be moving forward with that. But you know, and conversely, if there's a property just sitting there doing nothing but becoming dangerous and unsightly and all of that stuff, then OTR needs to sync up with Department of Building to have that tax penalty align with what the reality of the building is. So well, yeah, that situation you're talking about, that seems like that seems like a glitch in the system that should not have been per even the current laws, you know. So that I think was just a malfunction of what, like I say, the two agencies should have been doing. It's because
Yeah.
what we're doing right now is just kind of taking everything. Well, first of all, like I said, just making sure that the agencies are working together and working properly, but then taking a little farther to make things more punishing on bad owners, and then again a little bit of reward if you're doing the right thing. So
Are there any comments or questions from attendees in general? Okay.
And just to respond about the suggestion of friendly amendment, I'm happy to pull that back. I actually, you know, thinking more about it, I agree with you, Commissioner Dixon, that the penalty really should be high on both, and that blighted residential properties can have a real detrimental effect. And I certainly did not mean to suggest otherwise. I do think that the financial hardship exception is useful, and that you know may not apply in the same way for commercial properties. So I'm glad there's we're proposing that distinction. You know, I the one argument I can think of for higher penalties is just that owners of commercial properties should generally have you know the means to improve those properties and put them to good use, or should take the initiative to sell them. Yeah, but I appreciate all the work on this.
You're very welcome.
Commissioner Falskini?
I'd like to move that we put this on the February full ANC agenda with the support of the Planning, Zoning, and Transportation Committee.
I second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? All those against? All right, the motion passes 4-0. All right, well, thank you very much, Commissioner Stevens. This is really wonderful.
Thank you.
Glad that you put this together. Yeah, exciting stuff. So thank you so much. And with that, that concludes our meeting, short and sweet. Thank you everyone for being here, and we will see each other soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.